got the material that I have to read at each meeting. And I'll begin now, but before I do, I'll introduce the board. Danielle Sanchek is the secretary, which is kind of like the vice chairman. And Keith Lyon and Ben Handpeter and Steve Ferguson and Lee Levy and our friend Mr. Lyon. So we have 6 here tonight, including Keith, and we're ready to begin. Because there's 6, each time we have an item, I'll have to say which 5 of us are sitting. If I don't do it, yell at me. Okay, to begin this July 17th, 2025 Zoom virtual meeting. To allow public access, anyone may access the meeting by telephone and or Zoom or recording in the City of Norwalk YouTube channel. That's still there, right, Tammy? Because I thought it went away. Yeah. Specific instruction and links can be found at norwalkt.gov/meetings. Members of the public may call in to participate. Callers will not be able to see the meeting participants. All participants will be muted upon entering the meeting. To speak, dial 9 on the phone, and you'll be called on by the host of the meeting during the public comment sections. All speakers must state their name and address. Comments must be on topic of the agenda and are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone disrupting the orderly conduct of the meeting, including by using threatening, hateful, or sexually explicit language, will be removed. Please find the information using the link above. And the link above was the one I gave you, norwalk.gov/meetings. Members of the public who wish to provide live comments may also use the Zoom meeting platform. All participants will be muted, as we said, upon and to speak. There's a raise your hand feature of Zoom, and it's an indicator, and you'll be called on by the host of the meeting during the public sections, comment sections, and all speakers must state their name and address. Comments must be on topic and are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone disrupting the orderly conduct of the meeting by threatening heavily or sexually content speech will be removed. Please find the information above. And members of the public who wish to provide public comment are encouraged to submit those via email in advance of the meeting. For these comments to be included into the record, they must be submitted by 12 p.m. to the meeting. Please email Tammy Maldonado at tmaldonado@norwalkt.gov with the subject line public comment to provide written public comment prior to the meeting. There's application materials and a very, 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 very long link that I'm not going to read. And it's generally findable under the ZBA section in the city website. So I'm going to call us to order. I've introduced the board and we're ready for the first item. Madam Secretary.
Sure.
That would be Danielle.
We're starting with 641 Connecticut Ave, right?
Right.
All right. So
no, 6 lane.
Oh,
You were taking the oldest one first.
Okay. All right. Item 25-0515-01, ACR Property LLC, variances, front yard setback 30 feet required at Lane Road, 13 feet proposed and 30 feet required at East Rocks Road, 18.5 feet proposed and 13 feet to roofed entry at Lane Road, and parking within the front setback 30 feet required at Lane Road, 18 proposed and 30 feet required at East Rocks Road, 20 feet proposed, and back out space adjacent to Lane Road property line to construct a new single-family residence in CD-1M zone. Property located at 6 Lane Road, District 1, Block 83, Lot 33. Refer to Town Clerk Map 14355 depicting North Parcel.
Okay, Andy
Lee
has
is going
asked
to
me,
take the lead on this one and I'm going to set it up.
yes,
So Ben and
that's what I was going to
Dave, you're
say.
in.
Okay, will the representative for 6 Lane please come forward, identify themselves to the board?
Hi, this is Patricia Gill, Gill and Gill Architects. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Thank God. Okay.
Please start your presentation finally.
Okay, so this parcel was subdivided as a building lot in 1928 prior to the enactment of the zoning regulations. And it just was never built upon. We had started designing basically 2.5-story house a few years ago in the zoning, and it was going to be compliant with all the setbacks that were in effect back then. And then the zoning regulations changed to put a 30-foot setback around all of the streets. So the buildable area virtually disappeared. Anyway, I shifted the footprint a little bit to try to fit as best we could on this lot. So that's why we need to, and then the zoning requires 2 parking spaces for a single-family house. We have one inside a garage, so we have an additional parking space next to the building. The lot is very steep from East Rocks Road down. So from East Rocks Road, you really only see the top floor.
Do you want me to
Um,
show the survey, Patsy, or not
oh,
yet?
Sure, sure.
Okay, everybody see it?
Yeah, so the steep area is staying along East Rocks Road. Keep as many of those trees as we can. We have a driveway coming off of Lane Road. The whole pointy end of the, beyond our parcel, all the way to the corner is all gonna stay as is, so none of that will change. So anyway, yeah, so we have a little backup space because you need to have a backup space when you have a driveway. And then the driveway opens to the garage as well. So that's what's going on there. That's the garage, yes.
Let me know when you want me to show any
Okay.
other documents.
Well, I sent you, I think, the section through the house showing the slope.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah. If you look at the north side elevation,
Yeah, hang on. I'm looking at east elevation right now, but I haven't shared it yet. So you need north?
yeah,
Okay, hang on. Do you happen to know, I got a lot of files on my list here. Do you happen to know what that file was called? Is it, wait a minute, it might be this one. Okay, hang on, I got it. I'm gonna share it now.
okay, so there, the north side elevation.
Oh, you can see it already?
Can you see to the
Yes,
slide over where you can see the actual road elevation because it continues to go up. I don't know if I have it on, yeah, there. So that's where East Rocks Road is. Way up, almost to the ceiling of the main floor, and then there's the top. Yeah, all the way up at the gutter line of the garage. Anyway, so, and there's a lot of trees on that slope. So I think the impact from East Rocks Road is not gonna be great. There won't be great impact. And on Lane Road, you just have. It's just a single family house with a garage. So it'll be one car in the garage and one car next to it. So the back, yeah, the dotted line is where East Rocks Road level is. And then that's facing the stone house that's there now. Okay. Do you guys have any questions?
yes, I saw no indication. I mean, is there any patio or terrace or porch locations for this house?
Well, there's the front porch, but that's it. I don't have any decks or patios.
Okay, so I mean, if this family wants to barbecue, where are they gonna put it?
Um, either next to the driveway there, yeah, or possibly in the front yard over there. I mean, they might be putting up a fence, I don't know.
Okay. Is there
There is a stone wall along that property line.
any proposed landscaping to the north of the house where you've got the 11-foot setback?
That's
Oh,
south.
That's
Yeah.
south?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, we didn't spend a lot of time discussing landscaping yet.
I'm sure the neighbor would appreciate some sort of screening along there.
Right. Well, this is way lower than that stone house.
It does look like there's a handful of trees along that, along the
Do
property
you have a
line.
plan that shows of the adjacent stone house?
Yeah, I can bring up the subdivision map. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
Soon to go fly 10,000 miles to his new home. So they want to spend their last day together at one of their very favorite places, Universal Studios.
Arnold, we're getting some sound off your
Yeah.
mic there.
Does somebody have a radio or talking in the background? Would like to have that cut out so we can hear.
Still searching. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Okay, hang on just 1 second. I'm going to switch to the website and I'll get it from there.
That's another question while we're waiting on that I think is related.
Go ahead, Ben.
Do you have an idea of how many trees that are currently existing on the lot would be removed, if any?
I don't know. Surveyor did not note the tree locations.
Okay.
My next question is, are you anticipating rock removal, blasting?
I don't think we'll need to be blasting.
Well, the
And
house is being,
there's no basement, so we're just doing footings if we run into.
the house is being set into the hillside.
Well, the hill naturally kind of curves around like that. There's not,
I know, but do you anticipate ledge rock?
I don't anticipate ledge, but we'll see what we run into.
Can everybody see the subdivision map now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the north parcel now is flipped around, so now north is to the left, basically.
Yes.
And on my little drawing, you could see the corner of the parking area for the big stone house. That little L-shaped piece was showing up on my drawing. So the
Yes.
whole house, yes, that's right. So the whole existing stone house is beyond that.
Well, Patsy, let me tell you what my concern is. With the hillside and setting the first floor of the house, and I'll assume there's no basement.
There's no
Um,
basement.
My concern is that if you are going to be blasting or chipping away at rock for the rear of the house, there could be potential damage to the old stone house. And, has there been any concern made about that? And you going to be taking any precautions, such as documenting the existing structure and its condition prior to your work?
Prior to any site operations, yes, we would do that. And I think if we really run into bedrock, we can adjust the ground floor level and, shift things so that maybe there's not a full floor at grade.
Okay, so is this, I mean, we haven't seen a floor plan. Is this an upside down house with bedrooms on the bottom and?
Downstairs is the garage, laundry, and sort of a playroom. The main level, the middle level is, it's sort of it's just a regular house. It's just that the main level in the middle has the living, dining, kitchen,
Okay, so it's,
and then the bedrooms mostly upstairs.
okay, oh, there
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
okay. So there is a bedroom down there.
Yeah, that was sort of a guest room. With whatever, it could be a nanny, I guess. Depending on who buys the house. And then there is a bedroom on the main level, well, calling it the second floor. So that's mostly living, dining, kitchen, and a powder room. And then there's a bedroom suite there.
How many total square feet in the house?
That would be the master. Oh, I'll get it to you. Hang on. There's 976 square feet of finished space on the second floor. 582 on the top floor. Mostly I figured that out just so I could be sure that it was a half story.
Half
And the-
story.
Yeah, that top level is a half story, just 2 bedrooms and a shared bathroom.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there's my half story calculation.
Any other board members have questions on this?
Yeah, I've got another one. The driveway and like
Go ahead,
turnaround
Ben.
area is pretty close to the street. And I went by the property today to take a look at it, and it looks like right around where that turnaround is, there's kind of a rise off the street, and there's like a couple feet of dirt. So I'm wondering how you plan to handle that. Are you going to be taking some of that dirt away so that the driveway is now closer to street level? And then what will eventually go in between the driveway, like the turnaround area and the street? I imagine they're not going to be literally right next to each other. I don't want to know what's going to be in between them.
No, there's gonna be a buffer strip there. And then there's how wide this is. 8, the first 8 feet from the street is still the street right of way. So then then my site plan.
Tammy, could you go back to the site plan?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Hang on one second. Okay. All right, here we go. Can you see it?
Yes, thank you.
So the driveway like flares out onto Lane Road, and then
Right.
there's you said that's 8 feet from the property line to the actual like
Well,
part of this to
as
the
you
street
can
there?
see, it gets narrower as you go north and a little wider
Sure.
south, so
Yeah.
I'm just estimating.
Do you have an idea of how much like material removal you might have to do to make that work?
Not yet. Not yet, but we're trying to leave as much of the natural grade as possible. And we'll of course level things out at the driveway area. And we're gonna, I guess, fill in a little bit behind the house so that it doesn't just slope, straight into the house. We have to build it up a little bit to drain the water away. So some of the grade will be manipulated back there.
Okay.
Now, if
Mr.
I
Chairman, I have a
recall,
question. Where's the current house now? On the left? Proposed single-family residence?
Yeah, it's right over there. It's beyond.
Could you show me the existing with the proposed all together? Is that possible? No, you can't?
I don't have one big plan that
Okay.
has.
How deficient is this lot size?
Um,
Oh, there it is.
yeah. Yeah. So the required is 12,500. This is only a little more than 7,000 square feet.
So you've barely got 60% of the required lot area.
Right.
How much building, given the required setbacks, how much building area do you have on the lot if you had to conform?
You see the cursor tracing that triangle?
Yes.
That triangle is the buildable area.
Okay. That's pretty minimal.
I might be able to fit a treehouse.
Well, I will also assume this house is served by city water and sewer.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That comes off of Lane Road? Or East
Yeah.
Rocks?
Lane Road, I believe. There's some in both.
And it certainly would be easier to come in off of Lane than East Rocks. Because again, to get sewer and water off of East Avenue, you'd be certainly going through Ledge Rock to accomplish that. Any other questions? Well, hearing nothing from the board, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak in favor of this application?
So if you want to speak in favor, you have to press or raise your hand feature on Zoom if you called in, which I don't think anyone has called in, but if I'm missing that and you want to raise your hand, you can do *9 to raise your hand on your phone. I don't think anybody's on their phone. No raised hands.
Okay, then I'll ask if there any member of the public wishing to speak in opposition to this application.
Okay, we have first raised hand is Amy. I think it's Cool. So Amy, you'll be able to speak now. You'll just need to unmute.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to have this call again. I know that this is our third time in 3 months to have this call. It's not lost on me that the last 2 times we've had this call, we were listening for 2.5 hours to incredible, detailed conversation about a beautiful home, multi-million-dollar home that wanted to make adjustments. And there were very specific questions asked about everything: height, coming off the street, how the neighbors felt, the integrity of the community. And although our community is not nearly as grand as what we were looking at these last 2 times, I feel strongly that this house, and we just heard, is being shoehorned into a tiny space at a time when architectural integrity, I think, is key, maintaining the character of our neighborhood. as a single family home area is key. And I appreciate, Ben, that you drove by today and saw just how beautiful that stone house is that sits there. And there's been a cleared lot for some purpose for years that has been there. And now we are shoehorning a home into that space that I'm sure will not blend with the home next door nor the homes across the street. It's a beautiful area as you enter in to East Rocks Road. Lane is incredibly narrow, as it's named, Lane. It's a single lane road where people have to pull over in order to let somebody else go by. Very often you drive on to the property that we're talking about right now, and stones have been placed in order to ensure that nobody can go off of the road. I think our neighborhood character is in jeopardy. I think we're looking at a lot of traffic and congestion. Environmental and aesthetic impact. I certainly can't talk to the environmental piece. I can talk to noise and quality of life, and I could definitely talk about property value and the cohesion of our community. That area has been under construction for as long as I can remember. And the idea of this house, that it seems that they only have 40% of what they need in order to build, is going to be constructed in this space. I think it's going to be, forgive me, Patsy, an eyesore. I don't think it's going to marry the architectural integrity of that magnificent stone house that's there. We've got a lot of wooded property on the north side. There was no indication of knowledge of how many trees are needing to come down, how long the construction's going to be. There was a lack of understanding of how big the house really is going to be. And the idea that it's slightly visible from East Rocks Road as opposed to completely visible from Lane is all, I think, a really big problem. And as somebody who has been in the neighborhood for 20 plus years, has seen East Rocks Road become a virtual racetrack, I think trying to maintain the integrity of a residential community when a lot of Norwalk is at the moment being overbuilt, I think the idea of keeping the integrity of a neighborhood is important here. And I hope my letter that I sent through was read by everybody on the board. And I know some of my neighbors have done the same and shared their point of view.
Well, thank you, Amy. We have a multitude of letters that the board is going to discuss whether they should be read in or just put in the record. That'll be a matter of discussion when we get to that point. But thank you for your comments.
Thank you for listening.
Tammy, anyone else with their hands raised?
So this is your opportunity if you want to speak in opposition. Okay, we've got one more here. Not sure of the name. Serena, maybe? I'll just allow and then.
Hi. I'm speaking in opposition. This is just gonna add way too much congestion.
Before you go ahead, would you state your full name and address?
I'm Serena Coutinho and I live at 6 East Rocks Road, right across from Lane.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to add way too much congestion. The neighborhood is already saturated enough. Driving through on Lane Road, it's already difficult. You can only fit one car at a time. So if we add another house, plus we're talking about parking, it seems unreasonable. As well as the fact that multiple people, I'm talking up to 7 cars already parked at that house. They're already in the front. If we add another house, we're talking about maybe, who knows, really? It's just going to be way too busy and it just doesn't seem like it's going to work.
Hey, thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you.
Tammy, anyone else with their hands raised?
Yes, now we have Gail. Gail, you just have to unmute.
My name is Gail Hyatt-Lund. I live on East Rocks Road. The fact that this
You're not coming through very clearly. There's a very distinct echo.
the fact that this is a very small house, a very small lot with a large house going on. I think that it is multiple congestion. And I really do oppose this from the standpoint of what the neighborhood is really all about. The area should be left as there are 2 families living in that house now. It's been converted from a single family home to a double family home. And now if they add a 3rd home to the property, the congestion on that corner alone is something that will take away from the neighborhood, take away from that uniqueness of that location. East Rocks Road has increased in traffic over the last few years, and adding more multiple family homes in that area is not good. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I should add that this is a separate lot from the adjoining house, so that it's clear on that, that this is not a 3rd unit added to that house. Tammy, is there anyone else with their hands raised?
Okay, this is the last chance. I don't see any other raised hand. Oh, nope, got another one. All right, this is Roger. Roger, you just need to unmute.
Can anybody hear me? My name is Roger Breward.
Yes, we can, and please give us your address.
Yeah, I live at 1 Lane Road, and my driveway is exactly opposite the that piece of property, and almost opposite the driveway. And I agree with the opposition completely about what that would do to the neighborhood, taking away from the neighborhood. It is a short, narrow road. And as suggested, there's a lot of increase in traffic. And it's a challenge sometimes passing the cars. And I just think that it would be just too much congestion to the neighborhood in that particular area. And being right across from my driveway, to me, it would really distract from the neighborhood and that nice little piece of what's a little bit of woodland. There was more woodland in there before, but then the owner that owns the stone house did quite a bit of clearing in that. And my water shutoff is at the top of the hill on East Rocks, right up there, which shuts the water off to my property. So I'm in complete agreement with the previous individuals that were opposed to it.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Tammy, anyone else?
Okay, this is the last opportunity. If you wanted to speak in opposition, please use your raise your hand feature. There's no additional raised hands.
Okay, very
Oh,
good.
wait, hang on. They keep slipping in. Oh, this is Serena again.
We don't need secondary comments. We have in the past not accepted them. We give one opportunity to speak.
I'm Donna Coutinho. I live at 6 East Rocks Road.
Oh, sorry. So different speaker.
That was my daughter.
Okay.
That was my daughter who spoke before. I just say it's oversaturation of the property. It's been a nightmare, and it's going to make it even worse. That's what I have to say. I tried to help this guy, and it just didn't work out. Sometimes there used to be like 7 cars on East Rocks in the back, and 4 or 5 cars in the front. You're talking about maybe 12 cars for one house. It's not a 2-family house. It's a rooming house.
That's not this project.
Thank you for your comment.
You're welcome. I had to put my 2 cents in.
Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, once again, as the last opportunity, any other folks would like to speak in opposition, use the raise your hand feature. No raised hands.
Okay, any further questions from the board?
Did we
Yeah,
want to
I have
reference all
one.
the, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Tammy. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, should we address the opposition letters or wait? on
Well,
that?
that's a question I want to ask the board. We've got 30 some letters, and I'm sure that Danielle would be voiceless at the end. Do we want to, I've been there, Danielle. I know. Do we want to accept the letters as they've come in without reading them and just attach them to this project?
I think that's
Anyone particular
sensible.
feeling?
I read through all of them and they were all pretty similar, I'd say. I think it was uniformly opposition. I definitely saw a lot of the same citations for why.
I recommend
Sandy.
that at a minimum, you provide the names of the people that sent in a letter.
Okay, why don't we do
Right.
that? Andy, that's a very good suggestion. Danielle, would you go through the letters and give us the names of the writers and their address?
Yep. So the first letter of opposition is from Patricia, and apologies to anyone if I butcher your name, but Patricia Zacco at 10 Homer Street in Norwalk. We have several letters from Lauren D. Bartolomo on Millbrook Drive. She didn't give a number in this letter. Amy Cool, who spoke earlier. I don't know that she listed her address in here, but we heard from her earlier. We have Ray Greer.
Tell us where they live.
30 East Avenue. I will. Sometimes I don't write it. Marcelo Hasliter on 5 Sawmill Road. Peter Marino at 30 East Avenue. Lauren D. Bartolomo again. Allie Noel at 4 Old Lantern Place. Jessica Garnett at 287 Philo Street. And this letter is also signed by Yalna Yeager and David Callan at 3 East Avenue. Gwendolyn Young at 20 Sawmill Road. Nicole O'Brien and Heather Waxman. And it does not appear that they gave an address. Brenda and David Jacobson. Again, I do not believe they gave an address. Wendy and Mike Bonani at 10 Millbrook Drive. Kate Africano at 20 Cricklewood Lane. Kyle Discala did not give an address. Melissa White again did not provide an address. Lisa Mangan also did not provide an address. Mary Beth Sterling and the Sterlings at 16 Glending Street. Ilana Zuniga at 8 Running Brook Lane. John and Donna Vadas at 2 Millbrook Drive. Kate Skid at 17 Cannon Street. Margie Hunter at 8 County Street. Barry and Rosemary Colangelo at 23 St. Mary's Lane. Molly Fisher at 117 East Rocks Road. Deborah Mirabel on West Rocks. Kathleen Africano at 20 Cricklewood Lane. Roger Berard at 1 Lane Road. And I think that's the last one.
Very good. Thank you very much. Patsy, I will at this point allow you the opportunity to comment and rebut on the application.
I agree that when there is a lot that has been undeveloped for as long as anyone has been there, that it's hard to see a house get built. We tried to make this a relatively small house. It's a single family house. There's not gonna be, you know, a parking lot. And this is separate from the other areas on this island. And, you know, the intention is to leave as much of the trees that are there that we can and the natural topography. So, and to provide some screening from wherever, you know, it would do best from the neighbors or the street without blocking sight lines.
I have one more question. Could you state what's hardship or practical difficulty you're claiming with this application?
The hardship is that it was cut as a buildable lot. And then the zoning regulations imposed all of the setbacks and restrictions on the lot after it was already subdivided.
Sorry, when was that subdivision made?
1928.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, the ability to have a zoning code was provided by the state legislature in 1925, but Norwalk didn't actually adopt one until 1929.
I found the signed agreement for the subdivision dated December 21st, 1928.
And then subdivision regulations didn't come in until 1949, I believe.
That answers my question. I didn't have any others.
Okay. I'm dropping in and out.
Do you want to close the public hearing, Lee?
Hearing no other comments from either the public or the board, I will close the public hearing on this item, and we will move on to item 250626-01 34 Gardner Street.
All right. Item 25-0626-01, Daniela Alfaro, variance to allow parking within the front setback, 30 feet required, 0 feet proposed, and tandem parking following the fact conversion of a one-car garage to living space at existing single-family residence in CD-1S zone, property located at 34 Garner Street, District 2, Block 27, Lot 41. Request, applicant seeks relief of parking location requirements to allow 2 tandem spaces in the driveway, both within the front setback, in order to resolve a zoning violation and maintain the after the fact garage conversion. Background, this single family home was built in 1960. At that time, zoning regulations required 1 parking space to be located behind the front setback. The single bay garage met that requirement, but was converted without permits within the last 2 years. As such, the property is currently under violation for those renovations without permits and operating as a rooming house, which is not allowed in the zone. The converted garage, along with the remainder lower level, was utilized as a rooming house with separation locks on the bedroom doors and a shared second kitchen that had been installed without permits. Staff instructed the owner to cease parking vehicles in the grass adjacent to the driveway. More recently, zoning staff received a complaint that an animal care business operated from the home, which was corroborated by an online business listing. The homeowner alleges that this is an erroneous listing and has requested it be removed. The complaint remains under investigation. Analysis and finding. There is no zoning hardship. This is a self-created issue that stems from the illegal conversion of the garage to support the illegal use of the home as a rooming house. Restoring the garage would obviate the need of a variance for parking and return the property to the existing non-conforming with the correct number of parking spaces. The tandem spaces are sought due to the current regulatory requirement of 2 parking spaces and prohibition of tandem parking for a single-family dwelling. However, whether 1 prior to 1978 or 2 parking spaces are required, they must be located behind the front setback. This property has been advertised on Airbnb. Zoning regulations do not prohibit short-term rentals of single-family dwellings such as Airbnb. The violation is for making a separate kitchen and separation locks, rooming house. The property owner may let rooms provided there are no separation locks, separate units, or cooking implements, and no more than 3 unrelated persons occupy the home.
Before we go any further, I'm gonna sit in on the last one, and either Ben or Steve will not participate, but the same crew that we did last one, will do this one.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure who is here to speak on this item. I don't see the property owners that were here last time, and they haven't responded to emails that I've sent recently. Is there anyone else here?
Can you give us a little, just as chairman, I'm gonna butt in, just procedurally. Can you give us some idea of how you've been trying to reach them, and have they made an effort to reach you, and what's
I have
going on today?
emailed. So the property is listed under Daniela Alfaro. She's also known as Daniela Pinto, and I had 2 emails for her, of which I sent the same email reminding her that she got the Zoom invite, and then I also reminded her that she needed to have a presentation, and I communicated that if she needed assistance, she should let me know. She didn't respond to that. That was Monday, I believe. And then I don't see them here. I don't see them as attendees. We haven't.
Well, wait a
heard-
minute, wait, because we're missing something. We go back to the last meeting.
Yeah.
I told them if they needed any help at all, to contact you. Did they contact you?
They did not.
Okay.
Sounds like we've been stood up.
They kind of blew it off, apparently.
Well, the greater problem is they're still under violation and they're in the citation hearing process. So they were seeking this relief to cure that issue. They're going to be in front of this. If they show up, they'll be in front of the citation hearing officer on the 30th.
Well,
My
I don't know
personal
what the decision
opinion
would be
is
by
that they
the-
have a total disregard for
Yeah,
municipal responsibilities. I mean, that shows me if they don't apply for building permits, read codes, respond to requests for information, or attend meetings, it's a full disregard of their responsibilities as property owners and applicants before this board.
Just as a quick reminder, I'm Mr. Code. Remember, if they create the hardship, it doesn't count.
Okay, I've got somebody listed in attendees that just says Apple's iPhone, and they've got their hand raised.
Well, if they're there, let's see if you can raise them a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, Apple iPhone, I've given you the ability to talk. You just need to unmute.
Well, Apple iPhone has a hand raised if I'm reading this right.
Correct, and I've given them the ability to talk.
Okay, and they have not enabled talking. Okay, Apple iPhone apparently can talk now. Go ahead.
Hello? Hi. Hi. I'm sorry. I've been here. I actually have emailed you, Tammy. I've been in the hospital. I'm still in the hospital right now.
Oh,
I had an
I'm
emergency.
sorry.
So I've logged in from my phone. And I've been trying to email you because I'm here and I don't know how to show, I don't have my laptop to have more access to it.
Yeah, so I'm on, when did you email me? I'm looking at my emails now. I don't see anything.
I emailed you like 3-4 times today.
Haven't received anything. Nothing in junk mail. I've received email, let me correct that, but I haven't received anything from you from either of your email accounts. At any rate, I'm sorry to hear that you're in the hospital.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
your
thank
partner
you.
not available? Your partner
No,
not-
he's we are actually here. They just brought him back right now. So I was asking if we can reschedule, but if not, I can go over this briefly. My service also in here is also not that good. Hello?
Yeah, it's
We can
gonna be
still
up to
hear
the,
you.
yeah.
She wanted to know if she could go over it briefly.
Or have a continuation, I guess. Is that not what I heard?
Right,
Okay.
is Lee chair on this?
Oh, Andy is right.
Who's chairing this item?
Andy's chairing this.
No, you guys are doing it, therefore Lee's chairing it, but I'll jump in on an administrative.
Oh, I'll be glad to chair. In my opinion, given the applicant's current situation, I think we should put this off another month.
Yeah.
Allow them the time to recuperate and properly prepare a presentation for this evening.
Tammy, you all were doing an investigation. Is that completed?
It's ongoing. The allegation persists about the animal care business. It's a difficult case to collect evidence on.
All right. I think we'll need it completed by the next meeting if you give a continuation, the group of 5, to the applicant. Well, I as chairman need to know the status of the applicant. So if the applicant is about to be taken to court or have some other major problem with the city, I need to know that.
It's possible the citation hearing officer will continue under the circumstances. But I can't speak to that. I don't speak for the citation hearing officer is an independent entity, not affiliated with the zoning department. I don't know.
Well, just remember, the chairman asked you to tell them that they needed to finish up so we can know what the outcome is. So, yeah, if they may have a reason that they can't finish up, then they could provide that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
So I
Okay,
guess
good.
I'm hearing from Andy. Any other board member wish to chime in on this as to delaying this portion of the public hearing till next month?
They're
I
asking
agree.
I don't
us
have any
to
problems.
do a vote on it. I agree.
Oh, okay.
I agree as
Well,
well.
let's take a poll of the members. I make the recommendation that we put this item off until the August meeting.
It'll be August
All those in
21st.
favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay,
So that'll be Daniela, August 21st.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry about
thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
There are, oh, okay.
All right, so that brings that to a halt. I need either Steve or Ben to step off for the third one.
I'll step off, Ben, if you want me to. I don't mind.
All right,
Yeah, I'm good to stay on. Sounds
All right.
good.
okay.
Thank you.
And then
Staff just-
Danielle, you'll read the third one?
Sure.
Hang on one second. We do have, I just want to clarify, we've got 2 attendees who keep raising their hands and I keep lowering them. There's the opportunity for unless, I don't believe you were here. I think Daniela would have identified if somebody else was here on behalf to represent her. But if you're here to speak about another item, you'll have to wait until the chair prompts you for public comment. So I'm going to lower your hands again, okay?
What are we talking, which one are we talking about? Not the one we just continued.
Yeah, I don't know. They
Okay.
keep raising their hands, but I don't know.
All right,
for-
whoever it is, if they're waiting for the third one, then we'll get to it shortly. So I think we have Liz Suchy here representing third item, but I need Danielle to read it first.
Yep. All right. Item 25-0717-01 Norwalk, Connecticut Avenue, LLC. Variances of table 4.3.1-G for front setbacks, 6-foot minimum, 12-foot maximum required, 84 feet proposed. Building height, 2 stories minimum required. 1 story at rear, 2 stories at the front proposed, and building frontage build out, 60% required, 0% proposed to construct a new additional principal building proposed as a freestanding drive-through coffee shop in CD-3C zone. Property located at 641 Connecticut Avenue, District 5, Block 72, Lot 28A. Request. Applicant seeks relief of location and number of story requirements to construct a small drive-through coffee shop at the northwest corner of the parcel. Background. This site consists of an existing commercial building, Raymore and Flanagan Furniture Store, and a large parking lot located at the front. Analysis and findings. The intent of the new zoning regulations is over time to bring buildings along main corridors closer to the street for pedestrian engagement. However, this small proposed drive-through building would not fit that paradigm. Although it is possible to walk up to order a beverage through the primary function is as a drive-through. The Common Council setbacks established in 1941, which include a 70-foot from the street centerline front setback from Connecticut Avenue, are not incorporated into the new zoning regulations. Those Common Council setbacks did appear in the old zoning regulations. Zoning staff is unable to apply or enforce any stipulation that is not in the zoning regulations. While the 2-story building requirement is carried over from the old zoning regulations, it does appear to be a practical difficulty to apply this newer form-based code requirements to this type of small business model situated on this large lot.
Tammy, to your recollection, the letter that was sent to the board pretty much said that. There wasn't a whole lot of other detail, right?
I mean, I think the tone of that was
Right. It did say one thing. It talked about the plan of development
right.
and explained.
And the
what was
future
going
for the corridor. Yeah, that it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
pedestrian.
Remember, folks, we have to stay true to the planning and development. We have to stay true to the zoning code. The zoning code was adopted last year in February.
Yes.
Yes, and that supersedes anything that preceded it.
Should you read that into the record? The staff memo or no?
What I just said?
The staff memo that, are you
Yes,
just
you should.
referencing it?
Yeah, the staff memo should go in the record.
Oh, the Baker staff
We
memo?
pretty much covered the points in the memo.
Yeah, okay, I can read that.
So.
All right.
um,
Do you want me to read it, Andy?
You mean the staff recommendation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Board members, the planning staff has been made aware of the above referenced variance application and would like to provide the following thoughts and recommendations for your consideration. With the zoning regulation rewrite that was ultimately adopted in 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission made many intentional and purposeful steps in revising the regulations with the goal to create a more pedestrian-friendly, safer, and visually appealing Route 1 corridor. These revisions included the requirement that new buildings be located closer to the street and that buildings occupy a minimum percentage of the maximum front setback, frontage build out, and that buildings meet certain architectural requirements. The combination of these requirements will achieve our goal of encouraging walkability along the corridor by providing an activity closer to the sidewalk that is more engaging, comfortable, and secure for pedestrians within buildings that are attractive. In contrast to the current conditions where large parking lots separate pedestrians from the businesses, are uninviting and discourage interactions with other residents. The vision of a more pedestrianized Route 1, is shared by others within the city, such as our transportation, mobility, and parking department, who have created the city's complete streets manual, and the mayor's office, who has tasked the city with becoming the greenest city in Connecticut. Therefore, it's staff's opinion that the variance application, which proposes a building and use that is entirely auto-centric, contradicts and is in direct conflict with the goals and vision that the zoning regulations, complete streets manuals, and the mayor have set out to achieve, and that the application is inconsistent with the city's plan of conservation and development. Staff asks the board take our thoughts into consideration during deliberations. Please note that staff acknowledges that a conflict may exist between the Common Council setbacks circa 1940s with the maximum setback requirements in the zoning regulations and is actively taking steps to resolve this issue. Brian Baker, Principal Planner.
All right, thank you. Liz.
Thank you,
Ready?
Mr. Chairman and members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. For the record, my name is Liz Suchy. As you know, I'm a partner at Carmody Torrance, Sandeck and Hennessy, 1055 Washington Boulevard in Stamford. Present tonight, who you may or may not hear from, are Mike Barbuto, Shane Cornwin, and Wade Harden. They are all representatives of the applicant. Trevor Edkin, he is representative Raymore and Flanagan, which is the tenant of the property right now that occupies the 58,000 square foot furniture store that's been in existence since 2007. And also Matt Bruton of BL Companies, project civil engineer. Matt, if you wouldn't mind, could you screen share the survey? The application, just by way of some background and some housekeeping, the application was filed on June 17th. Signs were installed on or about July 1st, and that sign remains in place today in accordance with the regulations. The neighbors were notified by a certified mail return receipt requested on July 2nd, and those neighbors are within 100 feet of the subject property. The green cards and any letters that were returned to us were brought to staff today, so they should be part of the permanent record. Here's the survey then and our proposal that's we have before you. The property is in the CD 3C zone, right along Connecticut Avenue. And at the rear of the property is the Raymore and Flanagan building. That was constructed, as I said, about 2006. And at the time it was constructed, the zoning regulations clearly allowed parking in front of the buildings. That's why the building's all the way to the rear and the parking field is in the front. And as you'll notice, it's a large parking field with a few parking islands, very few because the regulations at the time only required parking islands for every 20 parking spaces. So it's a large parking field with a large structure in the back. Retail furniture stores do not get a lot of traffic. They're not like regular retail where you might go and get a gallon of milk twice a week or get your groceries twice a week. This parking lot is really not that busy and it's not that occupied on a day-to-day basis. So what the proposal is, and it's a little bit of a unique, different, fun thing to do, and Raymore and Flanagan has done this at some of its other locations, is to create this kiosk, drive up or walk up concept for folks to come and get coffee. There are no reader boards. There's no pull up and you give your order to the microphone. The barista staff actually meet the drivers. They meet pedestrians if they want to come up to the site, take their order, and then those orders are filled and given to the customers. The difficulties we have, and that's why we're before you first, is that there are a variety of conflicting, as we see it, policies, challenges, and regulations that present some unique challenges for this particular very small development. The main building where most of the filling of the orders would take place is approximately 580 square feet. It's less than what an accessory dwelling unit would be in the city of Norwalk, plus a small refrigerated building, about 250 square feet. It's probably the size of a small single-family garage. So we tried to do what we thought might be best to accommodate our client's desire to locate in Norwalk. And if this is approved in whatever shape or form that might be, it would be the first 7 Brew coffee kiosk in Fairfield County. There is one in Vernon, and I think there's one in Wallingford. This would be the first one down here, and it's kind of an interesting, unique concept. Matt, could you possibly, or Wade, could you screen share the elevation showing what the building looks like? So we're trying to accommodate all of the different conflicting and new and interesting regulations. And I think while I agree in part with some of what the staff said, both Mr. Baker and Ms. Maldonado, I think the regulations that address the building, the frontage build out of 60% that's now required, moving the buildings up to the front of a property adjacent to the sidewalk, I think those are geared more toward, at least in my opinion, and I submit to you that that's more toward vacant lots where new development is taking place. And that would be perfectly acceptable and perfectly appropriate. But when you have an existing developed site, I don't think the regulations address that circumstance. And that's where we have this challenge to comply with the regulations. So we have a small 580 square foot kiosk. We can't possibly build out 60% of the frontage on this lot. The lot is about 330 feet in length. That would mean something in the area of about 160 linear feet of building that would need to be constructed along Connecticut Avenue, as the far eastern side of the lot has the entrance and exit driveway. So it's a real challenge to try to make something like this, which is unique and different, happen with the new regulations. I think it's just a circumstance where the regulations didn't contemplate this. It was a citywide zoning rewrite that went from a small zoning book to a zoning regulation that now has over 500 pages. And no one can anticipate every single new and unique opportunity that presents in a municipality. So we're trying to do our best. We thought perhaps since the 70-foot common council setback from the 1940s hasn't been modified or repealed or abrogated, that's probably something we need to comply with. And this would create some activity in a parking lot that is just asphalt. There is a pedestrian access from the sidewalk right into the site. There's a bus stop right there, so it does provide some activity on the street. There are pedestrian crosswalks proposed inside the site, so individuals can walk up Connecticut Avenue, they can come onto the site, come in and walk up to the kiosk and get coffee if they'd like, or whatever other specialty drinks are available to them. It's very hard to come up with a 2-story structure for such a small required space, 580 square feet, making it 2 stories. I think the second story would end up being not used, much like the Starbucks at the Darren Plaza. It's a 2-story structure. It was built under the prior regs that required that 2-story structure. That second story is vacant. The same is true for Chick-fil-A down the road. 2 stories were required. That second story is vacant as well. And I think for a very small structure like this, that second story would be space created really for no reason. So I think those are the real hardships we're wrestling with. Those are the challenges and the difficulties that applying the new regs onto an existing built site make it very difficult for us to comply. In addition to that, we had some discussion with staff that perhaps this shouldn't be viewed as a principal structure, but an accessory structure. If it was an accessory structure, I think we would comply in all component parts, but that was not a concept or an idea that was readily embraced by the staff for whatever the reason. So that's where we are. We'd like to think that this is a concept that the commission, this board would see some value in. It would activate a portion of the lot that is just asphalt, parking spaces, some activity. There'd be some additional green space created. We would abide by the 70-foot common council front setback and leave that whole planted row, that whole green space that exists from property line to property line in its place. And that's a very wide planted, not avenue, but it's a wide planted component of this property.
How wide?
Matt, how wide is that about? And while he's measuring that, that's the reason the common council setback is why you have some of the properties on Connecticut Avenue on both sides have such a open distance between the property line and where construction or where parking can be. The same is true on Westport Avenue, and the same also exists in certain portions of Main Avenue. I think Westport Avenue is a 50-foot from center line, and I think Main Avenue may be 70 feet as well. So there we go, it's just about 32 feet. And there are bushes and some
At the
trees.
one end of that arrow is the property line?
Matt, the 31 is measured from where it's back a sidewalk to the back of where we propose, where the concrete curb is.
Okay, so the property
Yes,
line. goes a
sorry,
little-
can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry, Matt Bruton, a professional engineer from DL Companies, 355 Research Parkway. So this is, Mr. Chairman, this is about 32 feet to the concrete sidewalk. You can see that's labeled here. So obviously, if we were to go to the property line, which is this bold line here, we're about 45 feet. So you can see obviously that the sidewalk is the only thing in front of it. I can give you a view too, if you haven't been out there recently, from Google Street View. That shows, let it catch up here a second. Obviously you can see the sidewalk along the frontage, mature trees, bushes, planting beds. You see the Raymore Flanagan in the background. If I pivot here as well, you can see this is pretty consistent along the whole frontage of the property. We thought it was a value to allow that to remain instead of shoving a small building within, 6 to 12 feet of the front property line.
And those would be the dimensions, a minimum of 6 feet to a maximum of 12 feet under the new regulations. And we thought it would be more beneficial to keep that green corridor from property line to property line. Matt, we haven't been able to see
Let me ask real
image.
quick. If you took the two structures and made them parallel to the road and moved them right up to where the green area is, and then ran the circular traffic area along the side of it, with the other side facing out to the sidewalk, with maybe some glassed in areas on the building that makes it more attractive. Is that a possibility?
I would imagine that it is. The only difference is we probably could comply with the maximum 12-foot setback. We probably could redesign the building to achieve the 2-story if that's something that this board deems absolutely essential. However, that 60% maximum building build out along Connecticut Avenue, that we can't achieve. It's if you can see on the left, it says by 2 minutes.
I'm just more, if quote unquote, we're trying to make everything look more accessible and more friendly to people driving along and walking along, then the way it's set up now, it looks very neat and looks like it would be very efficient. But if you could put the buildings out there parallel to the road and then run the drive right up toward the building and then turn it around and come back, that at least would solve one of the problems, or close to it, enough that a variance would solve.
Chairman Conroy, you're
absolutely
right, Chairman Conroy. If we were to make the buildings parallel to Connecticut Avenue, bring them closer, at least I would suspect one variance may be eliminated, and some design work on the structure, we might even be able to eliminate the second. We just can't get that 60% frontage build out. It's just going to be, it would be a very long, 150, 160 foot long building for a kiosk.
I don't think your business requires that kind of frontage.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
And it would look absurd to create it. So I'm sure the variance could be had there, but I don't know about the second story. I'd have to hear from everybody else.
So maybe this, in order to, rather than to spend an inordinate amount of time with you and waste your time, if this is a solution or a suggestion or alternative, if this is something that, and after the rest of the members weigh in, you would like us to pursue, I would ask that you consider keeping the hearing open. We can devise a plan. perhaps eliminate one, if not two variances, bring that plan back to staff, and we could come back to you in August with that other alternative. And maybe that might be something that the planning, the principal planner and the zoning enforcement officer might see greater value in.
Yeah, I think I need to somehow solve the two-story issue. You might research that a little bit and figure out if there's a way.
I'll be honest, the two-story requirement does not really concern me. I don't see this as a business being two-story. What I'm concerned about is if the concept does not prove to be successful and it's abandoned, what does this become in the future? Somehow, before I even read this, when we started, I had images of the hundreds of abandoned photomat booths from the 60s.
Mr. Levy, my name is Trevor Edkin. I work for Raymore and Flanagan Furniture. We are the co-tenant in our affiliated ownership, and I represent them. I live in Manlius, New York. This lease requires the tenant to remove the building in total at the expiration, regardless of how that expiration comes. It will be gone, and the building and the property needs to be restored. I apologize just to take a moment. Raymore top line, we're a family business. We have 146 stores in 7 states. We are very, very customer focused, right? So our customer experience is paramount to us. Second to our customer experience is our associates experience. And we have 7 stores in Connecticut. It's our second best store. So thank you for the residents of Norwalk for being so supportive to us for nearly 20 years. We've done, this will be our 5th location with 7 Brew. It's been an amenity for our associates and our customers. Frankly, it's helped our business, and it's taken these candidly disgusting looking built asphalt Cs and made them something more productive for both the community, adding ratables, adding activity, and frankly, something better to look at for the community. And it's really interesting because we so often add these buildings to our parking field, and people think that when we're adding additional building, we're creating more impervious. And the reality of it is, with the additional plantings, we actually improve the green space. And Mr. Chairman, while I totally appreciate your effort to help us find a way to take away one additional variance with the setback, I'd encourage you to think, and it sounded like, and I was just listening to Danielle read the planner's comment, and I just want to note that it sounded like the overreaching theme was to make things more green and walkable. And if we push this building, we spin it 90 degrees, put it in parallel, and push it to the front of the building. Yeah. I totally agree with you. It gets much closer to your code, sir, but it's going to take up green space. So my parking lot will remain asphalt.
Yeah, before you go too much further, what I was talking about as a possibility is moving the building, just think of one at the moment, building up against the green, maybe intruding slightly into it and running the traffic along the side facing Raymore Flanagan. And you could pretty much use the design you have for turning cars around, but tilt it, move 90 degrees. And you can take all your green and add it, and I think it would work. But I know that you can't meet the distance requirement, but you can come a lot closer, I think.
Yes, sir. If that's something the board wants to see, Matt is fantastic at what he does. And I know that Wade and his team at 7 Brew will work to be accommodating.
I would also just consider, the zoning staff memo that was read and really think about, is there a way that this business works where it's not an island in a all drive lane? I think if we're really trying to make Route 1 more pedestrian friendly. Making buildings that are primarily going to be completely encircled by cars is not in line with zoning staffs.
Yeah, Danielle, what I
their
was recommending
goals.
was not circling the building.
Right.
But
I
going
just want to
up-
clarify that it's not just taking the circulation and rotating it. It's really considering how does the circulation work
Right.
for the, and how does this business work? Maybe a little bit differently than some of their other concepts, but how does it, more seamlessly blend into the zoning goals of the city of Norwalk?
Right. And the green that they have around the traffic circle and the parking, I think, is something they want to maintain. That helps get rid of the enormous ball field of asphalt.
So is it, do you, Mr. Chairman and other members, and of course, I don't want to speak for others or prevent you from chiming in and sharing your thoughts and comments. Is it your preference that we take a look at Commissioner Sanchik and Chairman Conroy's ideas, provide a revision to staff and present that to you in August?
Speak up or forever hold your peace.
I think it's a worthwhile exercise. I think bringing the building closer to Connecticut Avenue without automobile traffic between the building and the green space would certainly encourage walk-up business from those using the sidewalk and bus stops. I do think it's a worthwhile effort.
Yeah, I do too. I did have a couple of questions. I think first of all, the new information that Raymore and Flanagan is, if not a direct owner, is certainly affiliated is important in my mind, because it leads to what Lee was concerned about, which is an unsuccessful business that becomes an empty building. So that was positive. I think it is worthwhile taking another look. I did have a final question, which was related to, I guess, access to the shop from the road, which we've just talked about. And also, I think what was mentioned is that your staff at the business would also use this. And it wasn't clear to me, if there's any pedestrian safety issues, either walking from the store or walking from the street.
We do have a painted crosswalk at the bottom where, Matt, if you could bring the cursor there.
Okay.
And then there's another crosswalk proposed there. But if you'd like, we can also evaluate, are there other opportunities to bring pedestrians in from Connecticut Avenue into the site? It'll intrude into that setback of that green area, but I'm hearing that may be something that would be acceptable depending upon how we fashion it and how it's shown to you.
Well,
Liz,
without ruining the green space, that would, by nestling the building up to it, we keep the green space, even though you're not as close as they would like. And partially it meets the goals and objectives. Let me ask real quick. We have Popeyes, we have Chick-fil-A,
Right.
forced to 2 stories.
And
How big
Starbucks
is this?
as well.
How big is this building compared to, let's say, Popeyes?
I can't say with specifics. I can certainly get that to you, but again, this is 500 square feet. Popeyes is a restaurant where you can go in and sit, and it has a circulating drive-through in the back.
Mhm.
Starbucks, I don't remember what the numbers were offhand, but it's certainly larger than 500 square
Yeah.
feet, as is Chick-fil-A. I can
And
have that
Chick-fil-A
information
has its
for
own
you.
thing. What I was wondering is if this building's too small to try to push it up to 2 stories. That's what I was wondering.
Chair and board, if I might step in, Wade Harden, 2710 48th Street, Springdale, Arkansas, with Corporate 7 Brew. I think you'll find that probably majority of Popeyes are probably between 1,600 to approximately 3,000 square feet. So probably three plus times larger than the structure we have here. I think we hear what, the concerns as far as rotating the building, addressing the street frontage. I think there's some things we can do there. We hear that. I guess one clarification to the two-story point is, could you elaborate on that or provide some feedback on that? I think that's where you were going, but if you could provide that, that'd be helpful, I think.
I don't have the answer. I was hoping to figure it out. But one of the aspects I think would be the difficulty of making a very small building 2 stories. I think that could be an issue and a variance for that. But I wanted to compare it to other approvals that we've given only with the 2 stories being met. So if it's similar in size to those, then I think we'd have to insist on 2 stories. If it's a third or a quarter of the size of those, I think the small building thing that I sort of have in my mind would come to play. And you could also raise a false front and side 2 or 3 feet to give the building a sense of height without going to 2 stories.
Well, I'm gonna reach in on this. I don't see the necessity for 2 stories. I see one of the problems with a structure of this size having 2 stories. It requires, because it's a commercial building, 2 means of egress. Where do you put 2 sets of stairs? That's almost 500 square feet unto itself.
Yeah.
I think it's problematic.
Yeah,
We can
so
bring that
I
up
think we're
next
all
time.
actually, I think Mr. Levy and Chairman Conroy were, 3 of us at least, are probably leaning in the same direction, and that is that 2 stories is a requirement, but it's a practical difficulty, it would appear, and
Would appear.
more to the point, having or not more to the point, but in addition, if you've got precedent where did Ms. Suchi say 3 other businesses have been required to have 2 stories and they've got empty space? It seems not smart to build things that you're pretty sure are not going to be used.
There are 2 that I mentioned, Starbucks and Chick-fil-A. I know
Okay.
personally are those upper floors are vacant because I worked on those particular buildings. I believe the same is true for Popeyes. I can confirm that. And Chairman Conroy, for your information edification, I can get the square footage numbers and have that for next month, so you can, and I'll provide that in advance, so you'll have a comparative to what those are and compared to what this is. And there are several others in town. There's, for example, there is the there's the Burger King up at the Stop and Shop up on Main Ave, south of the route, the Merritt interchange. That's a 2nd story. I'm not sure if that's vacant. I believe it is. But if there are others in town, we'll get a list for you and the comparative square footages to give you a better sense of how this compares to those, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2-story McDonald's does actually use both stories.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, Danielle is about to break out laughing. Andy's too familiar with McDonald's.
It's the play place. We know it's the play place. You're going down the 2-story slide.
Something like that. Yeah. Danielle, you being an architect, is any of this making sense to you?
Yep, I think it all makes sense.
Okay.
Then we're happy to review and come back to you and see what we can do to address your concerns. And we'll go from there next month. How's that?
That's good.
I
And
have
Liz,
a question for
Liz, hold on.
Andy or
Liz,
for
when you're done, not tonight, but in the near future, would you give me a phone call to talk about not this, but business gone past?
Certainly, I'd be happy to, Mr. Conroy.
Thank you.
I have a question for Andy or for Tammy. So if we choose to issue a continuance, that would have to happen before the public hearing's closed and also before deliberation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't really have much in the way of questions about this application, but I definitely have some thoughts about it that I was going to save for deliberation. But if we're going to continue it, then I'll just say it now.
If you see a very dramatic change to the design, is that something you'd rather hold off until you see it?
Well, my thoughts are more that I have an issue with what the project is at a more fundamental level. I think that the zoning regs are written the way they are to discourage projects exactly like this.
Mhm.
I think, we can debate, move it closer to the sidewalk or leave it, where it is as proposed. But fundamentally, this is still a very car-centric business, and it will see probably 95% plus of its business from cars, and it will still be a very small building. And so it won't do anything to progress Connecticut Avenue towards having that sense of place that is the end goal of the way that the regs
Well, if we
are
do turn the
written.
building, if we do turn the building, or they do, not me, I don't have anything to do with it. If the building is turned sideways, then there'll be a longer presence along US 1. But in terms of traffic, the only thing I could say is there's a donut place that's down toward the McDonald's, and it's right on the corner. And I think Tammy knew the name of it when I was talking about it
I think
earlier.
it's Donut Delight.
Donut Delight.
Yeah. And
you.
while they do have some traffic, they have drive-through as well as people parking and going in. There's not a lot of traffic there. And they serve coffee
Actually,
and
Andy,
donuts.
I've seen the cars backed up quite a distance there.
Oh, yeah, it's only a Chick-fil-A have I ever seen.
Yeah.
But I would call it parking
My
lot.
my comment, kind of what Ben brought up, is if it's brought closer to Connecticut Avenue, I think an interaction could begin if somehow the bus stop is nearby, and they could provide maybe a small outdoor seating area for people to get coffee, sit there and wait for the bus. I don't know what the practicality is, but I think it begins to tie bus transportation, pedestrian use of the sidewalk, and the coffee shop together.
If we could do that, that'd be fantastic because it meets a lot of goals.
I think it's part of what Ben is getting at, and I think it's an important concept, for Connecticut Avenue. I think somebody should be doing something similar to this at the bus depot on Burnett. You've got all these buses sitting there, a terrible canopy over it. I think a coffee shop right there, a little kiosk like this would be a great idea for business.
Yeah. Close by, maybe not exactly next to it, but very
But
close.
you
by.
know what I'm getting
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. Easy to walk 50 feet as
Yes.
opposed to walking a mile. Yes, I think those are grand ideas. Ben, are you happy to wait till next month?
Yeah, I'm happy to give them another go round, but I'm honestly skeptical that they get there. I think that a project of this type and scale is just not in keeping with the intention of the regulations. I don't really agree with the claim that this is a unique case, because Connecticut Avenue has tons of big box stores set far back from the street with big parking lots. And something that I would much rather see than a project like this is something where you're actually taking up most of the existing lot with something that's mixed use, some combination of residential and retail, maybe a little bit of office, but probably more residential. And especially for a business like this, where the parking lot seems perpetually underused, I think that that's like something that could be put there. I know that's not the proposal in front of us, but I think that's more what the regulations intend to incentivize.
I agree with
and
you
this
with
is
one
very far away
exception.
from
I
that.
don't think they're trying to squeeze out retail with the regulation.
No, I don't think so either. I think the regulations are meant to find incentivize uses of all of this asphalt to add more of a sense of place, and
Non-asphalt, yes.
turn Connecticut Avenue into something that's not just like a liminal space that you go to, shop, and then leave immediately. And I don't think that this project gets us any closer to that goal. So
Ben, I'm glad you brought it up and that you phrased it in the way that you did. I think that, I took some time looking at Seven Brews concepts elsewhere that they exist, and I agree that as from what I've seen, that their stores are exactly the kind of thing that the regulations are trying to discourage. I think that you could conceive of a small coffee shop with a drive-through component that does start to talk more to the spirit of the zoning regulations and creating a better environment along Route 1. And so I put that, to the design team here to say, let's think about your store concept a little differently that is more in line with the type of environment that Norwalk regulations are trying to create. I think it's a challenge out to them.
Yeah, well said.
Commission members, can I just point out one item for you? Hearing the last two comments, be aware that I love the idea of mixed-use office, residential, filling that space that you guys want to build along Route 1. The success of Raymore and Flanagan and the parking that they need versus what's required by your zoning and what Seven Brew needs, this current site plan in front of you, it's the zoning regulations right on the dot with 105 parking spaces. Anything larger, like a mixed-use residential building that has residential or office or more retail, is simply not possible on this lot as Raymore Flanagan exists. I don't think anyone wants to see Raymore Flanagan leave, right? They're a successful business, as they said, second best store in Connecticut. But to engage the frontage along Route 1, the only possible way to do that is with a small building like Seven Brew is proposing here. So you're getting that engagement on the street while also still complying with the majority of your regulations. To imagine something different, like a mixed-use building, like some have suggested, is not possible with the size of this lot unless Raymore Flanagan did not exist. So I understand the goal, but with Raymore there's no possible way to do it without completely clearing the lot and reimagining the whole thing, and that's not what we're trying to do here. So just wanted to point that out, that we are working with other regulations that we're trying to not come back for variances for, mainly parking to support both these businesses.
Well, and having said that, I think the commissioners have given us a clear directive of let's see what else we can do. If there's something that can be done that's different, that's as Commissioner Sanchik said, that's a challenge on us. Let's see what we can come up with, and perhaps we can achieve most of the goals that they've laid out for us.
All righty.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt.
Thank you.
I wish we were the ones that could also control the parking regulations, because I have opinions. For my part, I'm generally more sympathetic to a variance for parking than I am to a variance for the frontage that is being discussed in this application. So I can sympathize with that plight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, should we go ahead and vote on a continuation?
Well, you could do that, or I can tell them they're continued, either way.
Okay, great. No, I think that's where we've landed.
All right. So unless anybody objects, and you can tell me right now, I'm going to ask Tammy to note that they're continued to next month. I don't hear an objection, so they're continued.
Yep. Remember to keep the sign up, please.
Oh, absolutely. The sign will stay up. Thank you for your time tonight and all of your suggestions. Very, very helpful. Hopefully we'll be able to come back with something that you will find more acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if the crew would just hang around a little bit, and we got a couple more things to do. I don't know, Steve, are you still with us? I don't know.
Yes, I am.
Steve.
I am.
Okay. I won't take much of your time, but
It's okay.
I mentioned to you, I love governance. I like government. I'm not into politics too big, a little bit, but not much. And I'm from California, and I stay away from California as much as I can. I have family there, I have friends there, and I visit, but that's it. It's kind of like having your grandkids over. It's a lot of fun for a little while, but then, their parents have to take them home. our friends in California have a DMV that is very dysfunctional. And some of the comedians there have been taking pokes at it. One in particular was mentioning that he got a ticket for having a little sticker removed from his license plate. Well, somebody stole it, obviously. So when he called the DMV and said, you know, I'd like to know how to replace that, they told him that he had to provide proof of his registration. And he said, well, you guys have proof of registration. They said, well, mail us what you have. And he said, I don't have anything. I don't have any, it's been misplaced. I don't have it. They said, well, request it from us. And so he got the registration from them. And he said, return to sender, send it right back to him, which I thought was really pretty damn funny.
A great story.
Yeah. You know, you don't need too much over governance and people that just can't figure out how to get out of the box. And, you know, you guys do a pretty good job of figuring out how to get out of the box. Good crew. What else we got, Tammy? We don't have minutes.
No, no minutes. That was the only administrative thing we would have addressed this month. So next
thought we
month.
could deliberate on the first one,
Vote
right?
on the first item?
You got to go with the first item.
Yep.
Lane,
Shuffle. I will be done shuffling here in 1 second.
This
Yeah,
was-
you guys go ahead. I mean, actually, Lee should lead you through this.
okay. We've closed the public hearing on Lane. And I'd like to hear comments from board members on this project.
I live not too far from there, so I frequent Cannon over to Francis every day, and there was a lot of debris over the course of years. I do agree with the responses of the neighbors of the congestion on that street. Knowing that that site is already not in compliance already, and I think it won't be a good idea to put more dwellings on those lots. That's just me, you know. I think it's the history of that property has been very questionable to the neighbors. I don't think they have any faith at all with the current owner and their plans to develop that parcel. And it's already not in compliance.
Steve,
Have a
I
pretty
agree with you
compelling,
on those comments. The only question I have is about taking those things into consideration when it is a separate lot. I think we need guidance on that.
I agree with everything Steve said. I mean, this is a grossly undersized lot that is exceedingly difficult to build on from a lot of respects. In terms of, you know, there was very little answer to my question about removing the ledge rock, documenting any potential damage to the existing stone house. Certainly there was no landscaping proposed before us, and I think the house needs landscaping if we approve it. The other thing that I don't
Did you
think
guys take a look at Google where you can look down at the trees? There's a copse of trees.
Yes, I actually did, but also the pervious current use and proposed use there, it would be less pervious space. Am I correct? On the proposed lot, Keith?
You're talking about the driveway
Yes.
and the building.
it was less, but it was compliant in that regard.
I think it was lowered. It went from 35% to 25%, or 25 to 35%. I think there was a difference of 10%. I'm not sure in which way.
25 is what it was. 35 is the requirement.
Yeah, so if it's 25, that means it's not in compliance, correct?
No, that's impervious.
Okay.
They would have had to put that
Let
as
me give
part
you
of the
a point
non-compliant, the
of-
variance request if it was non-compliant in that way.
Without those specifics, we have approved building on small lots and treated that as a hardship. There are other things to consider besides it being a small lot, and that is the one-way street. There's just the total configuration, the points that Lee brought up.
Well, one other point I'd like to bring up is we've been presented with a house that could be from anywhere. I don't think it addresses the other historic houses in the neighborhood to any extent at all. This is just a frame house with clapboard on it, and double hung windows. I see nothing unique. It offers very little to the neighborhood. So I do have an issue with that. I don't think much of an effort has been made to present to us or the neighborhood anything of any architectural merit at all. And I know that's not our
No, it's not.
business, but I think in this neighborhood, it needs to be considered.
They could have a smaller footprint. I'm not going to discuss that, but they could do a fairy castle and basically confine the structure around a much smaller footprint. I don't think they want to do that, and I doubt anybody around them wants them to do that.
I think they have a pretty compelling case for a hardship here because of the lot. It was buildable before the regs were rewritten, and it sounds like they had active plans to build on it. And then the new regs took that buildable envelope down to basically nothing, and pretty dramatically, I think, affects what you could use the lot for and its associated value. So I think it's a pretty decent case, actually. I found myself pretty unconvinced by a lot of the opposition comments, especially the traffic congestion. I mean, we're talking about one house here. So
I agree with that. I mean, traffic
regardless of
congestion-
the current state of lane, I think adding an extra 2 cars doesn't make any sort of appreciable difference. And after scrutinizing their plans for the driveway a little bit more, I'm also not convinced that this would lead to any addition of like unsafe incidents from cars pulling in and out as traffic goes along lane. I think that's fine. A lot of the written comments, not so much the verbal comments tonight, talked about visibility issues. And I think they're talking about if you're going north on lane, you're turning onto East Rocks. But I went up there, and you can see this on the street view as well. Like, you have a pretty crystal clear view down East Rocks, and the house is not in your way at all. So yeah, I don't have a problem with this application, actually.
Yeah, we can't tell the property owner how their property is used. So if somebody wanted the copse of trees to remain and wanted the total green area on that triangle, that's not our call.
I do
Yeah,
have
they
a, I
made
do
a
have a question. I do have a
urban
question for,
source.
I do have a comment I would like to make. If you're coming down Cannon towards East Rocks and you get to that stop sign, you know, the stop sign where you could look to the right, there's oncoming traffic there. And I believe that if there was a dwelling on the corner of Cannon and East Rocks, it'll be more of a visible challenge going up towards France Street.
Sorry, Cannon and East
Yeah,
Rocks though?
yeah,
But
Cannon.
the lot we're talking about,
It's Lane. I know that,
Right.
but I'm saying
It's on
going
the opposite
towards.
corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I remembering incorrectly? Is lane not a one-way? I thought it was.
it is a
Lane is
one-way.
one way.
It's one
So
way
when you
north.
turn on to it, you can't turn back out because you can't go that way. You have to go all the way down to you reach a typical 90-degree T intersection, on which there are maybe 4, 5 houses. It's hard to tell because one of them looks like a pump house as opposed to a house. looking from the sky. I drove out there and it seemed to me that it was beautiful, and if there was a way for people to keep it that way, it would be great. But the property owner gets to make those decisions.
So
I think
to
the tree cover was
point-
kind of the biggest consideration for me. So I was encouraged to hear them say that they wanted to keep as many as possible. I hope they stick to that. I do agree it's not really our call, and it looks like I think this is 1 Eastrox or 1 lane. I don't know. The big stone house, a bunch of trees have been cleared from there, but I think we're
You guys
regardless of
kept
that.
talking about the stone house, and I don't remember it when I was out there.
It's just to the south. I could share my screen. I've been looking at this on Google Maps all night.
Yeah, the
Can
Google
you
Drive
share a
shot
screen, or
is
do you have
like
to let 'em?
under construction.
Yeah.
Y'all
Okay.
can see that.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's the stone house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is 1 lane or 1 Eastrox. I don't know which one it fronts onto. And then the proposal's up here.
Okay.
And Lane Road is one way going north, right? Because there's the stop sign. If I can get onto the street here.
Can you make that shrink some so that
So the house
that's
goes
the
down
triangle,
there.
right? With all the trees.
Yeah. And the property line, I think, is like over here. There's like a pretty big chunk that I assume is some sort of public land.
Okay. Given
This-
where
this
you
whole
just were,
top
where's
corner.
the stone house? Because that's across Eastrock that we're looking, right?
It is way over there through the trees. I can go down lane a little bit,
Okay.
and
all
then
right.
you can see it start to emerge. There it is.
Yeah. And there's a sizable house right next to the lot. That's the stone house?
That's the
Yes.
stone
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's this one. And then the proposed structure would go right here. And then this is the property line, I assume, with this little dirt stone.
Yeah, and there's like near
thing.
based on their plans, it would be like 50 feet between the stone house and the new house.
And then there's that other lot to the south as well. That's undeveloped, but they've gotten a permit to build another house as of right. They compliant.
Yeah, that's a much bigger lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So where's the structure that's being used as a rooming house and that there are the issues around that are currently being investigated?
That was
No,
a
no,
different
no, that-
application.
Different part
Right.
of
Oh,
town.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
This home, I think,
Different place.
right, I think one of the verbal opposition said it was a rooming house. It is,
Yeah.
it's a single family with a permitted ADU. That's integral. It's in the basement. It's been inspected. The owner let us back in. I mean, I get it's not subject to this variance, but
Yeah, it's good to
not-
clarify
it's not-
because I was
Thanks
kind
for
of wondering what
clarifying
was going on there.
But didn't they mention 12 cars being parked there? Or is that a different application?
I
then?
mean, if it was
That's
also
associated with
under
the other house.
construction a bit, so who knows?
I say that because I frequent that, as I mentioned earlier. I frequent that street daily.
Yeah. I'm not saying
So-
that there's not 12 cars there. I'm just telling you, when we've inspected, it wasn't that long ago. We went in again because of the complaint. The property owner let us in again, and there's an ADU, and then they've pretty much cleared it out, at least when we went, because, it's prepped for, or listed for sale.
Well, the slope is significant, and even though she just said it's in a comma shape, it's still significant. And that's going to be hard to build a house in there without digging up a good chunk of the land that goes up to East Road.
I
Anyway,
think from comparing this to their site plan, I think they can probably leave all these trees in the back and these ones along the side. That doesn't
Some of them,
conflict
yeah.
with where the house goes. These 3 right here is like right where the driveway goes. So
Yeah.
those probably would come out. Maybe they can find a way around it. And then all these other ones on the side, I imagine they wouldn't touch. This little rock wall is probably the property line. There's some trees beyond it there.
yeah, the increased traffic argument aside, I do think having a good planting plan, including existing trees, hopefully, would help with the final result. I mean, people will be unhappy with it being there, but I never really bought into the traffic argument.
Yeah,
do
I would
buy
have liked to see
into
more
this.
info on the landscaping, but
Yeah, I do buy
I'm
into
not
the
that
problem.
hung up on it.
The small lot is an issue and they've got to minimize the footprint, for sure.
It looked like the size, like the footprint of the structure would have fit in the old, within the old regs. They weren't exactly in the same spot on the lot, but they were like the same size. That's why I'm inclined to approve this. Because it got squeezed down so
Well-
much tighter. It would have been fine before the regs were rewritten.
And that's
Oh, I-
because it has the two frontages that
Oh, really?
the zoning regulations changed that where, right, Tammy? I'm not like,
No, you're
right now
right.
you
So-
have the 30-foot on both sides where you didn't used to have that.
Right, well, yes, in this zone, there is a principal and a secondary, but they're the same for CD1M. For CD1S, which is smaller lot zones, your principal is 30 and your secondary is 20. Now, under, like Ben pointed out, with the old building front footprint, their zoning front was actually that little rock wall sliver to the north, so to the right there. So yeah, but it doesn't, we can't count it with the way when you go 30 to 30, that it squishes, or that's not the right word to use, but it compresses that building envelope so that it becomes, even if there's no need to apply another setback because it's forcing it way back there.
Yeah.
The setback would sort of be 30, 30, 30, but you can't really, and under.
Remember the line that they showed that if you were on East Rocks and looked at the building, there was basically a level line going across the house, which implies to me that they had to excavate somewhere between 7 and 10 feet for the back of the house.
Yes. They're burying the first floor
At the
into
back.
the hillside.
Yeah.
I go up a page 3.
I
And
thought
then
the
over to the
section
right.
showed it very well.
I think it's the side elevation. So if you just scroll it over, yeah.
Squeeze it down a little bit, then they know what it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
this is
the
a good
line?
view.
No, it can't be, because it wasn't that far up.
Yeah, that's the line.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, then they gotta dig down, and I'd be
Yeah, they're-
shocked if they didn't have to blast.
Well, they
much
don't
rock
know
and
what's
medical.
under the
42
ground.
inches below grade. Look too far down, at least not to me.
The glacier that went through here didn't leave a whole lot of dirt.
You're not that old, Andy.
You'd be surprised. I know Methuselah. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, very good. Very good. See you at O'Neill's for trivia night.
But remember, I'm not voting on this. You guys are. So Lee, you're gonna have to keep it together there.
Okay, well,
I would like to just, a very important point that Ben brought up for, bigger, for of wider implication than this one. Can the one application, can the new zoning regulations be considered a hardship? I thought not, yeah.
The only thing that you could do is if you did your application before we
yeah.
adopted it last February, then you get to exist under the old regulation.
So that's the hardship if you'd already applied, yeah, got it, I remember now.
I'm pretty sympathetic to this, except for the fact that she mentioned that, like, they did have the house designed, like they were gonna do it, and then the regulations changed, and then like, well, okay, then you should have done it.
You know, some of people own property around here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And they
don't
come
pay
before
attention.
us, and then they would need a bunch of variances so they can build. As long as, at least my recollection, the board, as long as the variances were not particularly large, because it was a small lot, we generally approved it. As long, disregarding any other problem that might have emerged.
Well, the other thing that bothered me, and I brought it up initially, there is no outdoor space for this house. No patio, terrace, porch.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, is a family gonna buy this? And, you know, on the empty triangle of land near where we're looking now, I mean, are we gonna see plastic play structures? There was no site development shown to us at all. It's as if the house was dropped on the
The
site.
outdoor, yeah.
And that would be my reason for denying this, is I don't think a lot of thought has been put into
So,
site
you know, what you could
developments.
do is you could tell your folks to deny it without prejudice.
Well, I was gonna get to that point. And are we ready to call, would somebody like to make a motion on this?
Without prejudice allows them to resubmit, or I
Yes.
forget exactly how that works. Okay.
If we deny this without prejudice, they can come back next month with a revised application.
Yeah.
If we deny it in total, it's dead.
That's right. Dead enough.
My feeling is that I would deny this without prejudice because I see no site development plan, how the site's going to be used. And I think more thought needs to go into that before I can approve this.
I also hear you on the architectural development and maybe pitching that to the neighborhood a little bit.
I think if they came in with a proposal that maybe the architecture was a little bit more related to the neighborhood. I'm not saying do imitation historic structures, but something that was a little bit more contextual, that I would find myself more comfortable with it.
I am very similarly oriented to you on this.
Yeah, I mean, they could do things that where they had a little space indented and then they could call that their patio, but.
Yeah. I'm going to try to make a motion that we deny this project without prejudice and request that the applicant come back to us with some better site development concepts and landscaping, along with architecture that better related to the neighborhood.
Tammy, if we deny and it's without prejudice, how long can they wait to come back?
There's no, that the allowance is that they don't have to wait. So they can come back. If you deny it, they're supposed to wait 6 months to come back for any application that's supposed to be not similar to what they've already applied for. If you do it without prejudice.
But denied without prejudice, they can come back next month, can't they?
Yeah, or 2 months or 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, but there's no, if they want to stretch it out 2, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever, they can do that.
Yes.
No.
Anyone like to second?
I'll second. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, Keith has seconded it.
Danielle was in first, you know?
Okay, Danielle, you've seconded. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
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 Okay.
I'm a nay. I would have voted to approve as is.
Okay, well, we're 4-1. The motion passes.
Okay.
So Tammy, please inform the applicant of our decision.
Will
And
do.
and we've sent the other folks away to come again another day. So
So we get to run them all back.
And let's hope that they're in good health.
Yeah.
You know, that little coffee thing, if you took that other small building, which I guess is a refrigerator building, and you handle that correctly, you could make the building look a little longer. And if you had a bit of a false wall in the front, along with maybe a designation of what the building is, that could give the impression of a real building there.
Yeah, I think some creative architecture is being called for here.
Yeah.
We'll see what they come up with.
Anyhow, so I did my joke, so I don't have anything more to say tonight.
All right. Well,
One of you has to come up with a joke for the next meeting.
So we expect everybody for August. I know that can be a
I
challenge.
don't know. Anybody going away?
August, what date?
I'll be around.
If
21st.
we have an alternate ready to sit, I would prefer that. I have family coming in from the West Coast for the holiday and 2 birthdays. So
Be here.
Fun.
great.
I'll be here.
Okay,
All right. Great, Ben. Thanks.
okay, everyone. Good to see everyone.
Okay.
Make
Good
a
to see
motion
you.
to adjourn.
Later.
Second.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn, Ben? Yeah.
Second.
Yep.
I'll grow a beard, man.
Yes.
Good
Have a nice evening, all.
Good
Take
night.
care.
Good
night,
night,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
See y'all. Thanks, Lee.